The U.S. military is known for its excessive spending on its military, so it should be no surprise that they own the record for most covert military action. Hi, my name is Delon, and this is Culture Colosseum. If this is your first time on the channel and you like content that's creative, independent and educational on culture, this is the channel for you. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe and turn your notifications on. And today we're going to be talking about the Soviet Afghan War, and let's get into it. Due to the ongoing crisis in Afghanistan, President Jimmy Carter was advised by his national security team that he should support the ongoing efforts in Afghanistan. So he approves a $600,000 grant, he approves $600,000 in funds to support the efforts in Afghanistan. That increases once the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979. Now, Jimmy Carter and later Ronald Reagan was funding a group called the Mujahideen. Now, this was a group of loosely affiliated peoples, tribes, and later volunteers from around the Middle East. They were very religious. They saw this fight as a religious fight, and that would bring controversy in the later years. But at the time, the U.S. saw it as a strictly anti-communist group in an anti-communist fight. Once the Soviets invaded, there was more motivation for more funding. Soon the spending increased to millions, from $35 million a year up to $700 million a year at its peak. And the Mujahideen received weapons, beginning from gray market weapons like the AK-47 and mortars, anything that can't be traced back to the U.S. But eventually, in the later years, they received weapons directly from the U.S., most notably the Stinger missile, which was a high-quality anti-aircraft missile. The beginnings of Operation Cyclone happened in 1979. President Jimmy Carter, based on the advice of his national security team, authorized $600,000 in funding to the anti-communist efforts in Afghanistan. Now, he was funding a group later known as the Mujahideen, a loosely related tribe and later volunteers in the Middle East. Their fight was a religious one, but the U.S. saw them as anti-communist fighters. The funding increased after the Soviets themselves invaded, up to millions. And also, after the 1980 election, Ronald Reagan was elected. Ronald Reagan, a huge anti-communist with support in government, namely from Charlie Wilson, helped increase the budget to, in its peak, $700 million a year. Altogether, they spent $2 billion on things like the AK-47 in the initial stage, which kept the operation covert, to when when they were publicly funding things like the Stinger missiles, which the weapon was changed the tide of the war, basically. And they also did propaganda efforts in the Russian-controlled countries of the Soviet Union, which had a decent-sized Muslim population. They also helped train the Mujahideen with Pakistan, which was in control of where the weapons went. Now, the Soviets lost this war in 1989, and Operation Cyclone was seen as a success, but not without controversy. Now, the group they funded, the Mujahideen, was not organized and split up into many factions. Afghanistan destabilized and turned into chaos with a civil war, leading to the creation of the Taliban. Many of its members had fought in the Soviet Afghanistan War and considered themselves Mujahideen. The founder was a part of the Mujahideen. Also, Al-Qaeda became a thing after this war, and many of its members have possible connections to the Mujahideen, namely its founder, Osama bin Laden. And those are the reasons why a lot of Americans see the U.S. intervention in Afghanistan as creating events such as the later invasion in 2001 and 9/11 itself. So my question to you guys is, do you think the U.S. intervention created the war on terror in the 21st century? And thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it educational or interesting. And be sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And stay tuned for more content.